Hello and welcome back to Mikey in Motion with me, Mikey Barge. I've been a big fan of Brendan Fraser for a long time. Why? Because I feel this actor does not take himself too seriously.
You may think that you're overacting, throwing your jaw open and screaming.
If you take yourself too seriously, then it's really hard for you to become malleable and adapt to the situation. And also you're constantly in your head and you're not in the character's head where you need to be. What I feel that Brendan Fraser brings to the table is belief. Now, he might not be convincing to you, but Brendan Fraser, he believes.
Everyone absolutely believed everything.
So, how does Brendan Fraser believe in the role? Is visualizing. Brendan Fraser, very subtle, he's on a plane and a big CGI sandstorm is gonna come and just like wipe him out any minute. But look at Brendan Fraser in this role. Notice what he's doing. Look at his eyes. And I imagine as well, he was probably working with CGI, tennis balls, things that weren't even there, actors that weren't even in the room. And the way that he looks with his mince pies, he believes it. Now, imagine this. If a giant sandstorm was coming your way, would you take your eyes off that sandstorm? No, you wouldn't. Just visualize that sandstorm. Visualize it. What color is it? And if you don't know what color the sand is, then you're in a big problem. Is it red sand? Is it yellow sand? Is it dark brown? Visualize the sandstorm. See it getting bigger, seeing it get bigger, see it get wider, see it block out the sky, block out the sun. Now, see it fold in on itself and it's creating spirally patterns, and those spirally patterns are breaking off and forming bigger patterns, and now it's just getting overwhelming, and then now you've got to kind of tell your friends over there that is happening. But you never take your eyes off that sandstorm. It's like my role in The Terminator. I had a sort of similar scene where I had to be afraid and visualize terror. My scene when I was with Grace, that's what I was doing there. I was literally just locking on eyes and I wouldn't let my eyes get off Grace because she was coming to attack me, and this is the most scary thing. And sometimes when you're being afraid, you can try that technique. Just keep your eyes locked on something, and then you can have decisions and you can see in your peripheral there are things over there. You might want to try and grab your keys or grab whatever you're trying to grab, but you would never take your eyes off that target, would you?
Then get me the hell out of here!
Brendan Fraser during this role highlighted one of the greatest points, that funny is serious and serious is funny.
The approach was to make sure that funny is serious and serious is funny.
And to be a great comedy actor, you need to master dramatic acting. You got to be able to cry. You got to be able to be sensitive. You got to be able to go in on yourself. You got to be able to look like a fool. Comedy and tragedy equal drama. So when people think about drama, they think, oh, it's just about crying. Oh, it's just about doing a serious piece about social issues. No, drama is split it in half, tragedy and comedy. And I actually have heard that Brendan Fraser really commits to the role, because during the hanging scene in The Mummy, I've heard that Brendan Fraser actually accidentally almost did get hanged. And it was this moment here when Brendan Fraser blacked out and lost consciousness. He was woken up by the director and the paramedics 30 seconds later, telling him that he had just died. But also what's really good about Brendan Fraser is that he does the beats. Now, what do I mean by beats? When I get a script, right, in the script, there will be different emotional cues that an actor has to make. And if you don't make those emotional cues, then it really takes away from the plot and the overall arc of the character. Let's look at the first scene I showed you when Rick O'Connell is being chased by the mummy and he's backed into a corner. The mummy screams at him as loud as he can. And what does Rick O'Connell do? In that little moment, there's a little moment of fear, then a bit of anger, and then he screams back at the mummy, and then he shoots him. That's about 4 different looks that he just did in that little moment. Now in the script, he probably says Rick O'Connell gets screamed at by the mummy, and then Rick O'Connell screams back. But Brendan Fraser did at least 4 different little beats in there. There was a little moment of, oh my God, we got caught. Second is, what are you screaming at me for? And third is, screaming at you. How do you like that? And then the fourth is, bang, now take some shotgun. And then they escape. So there's a little bit of 3 different 4 movements. And he does that all the time in his scenes. He does at least a few different looks with the eyebrow, a thought, then he acts. He never just acts quickly. He never just doesn't move. He always, there's a little bit of mechanics which go on before he makes an actual action. There's a decision-making process. Now, when it comes to acting or screenwriting or script writing, you need to remember one thing. The reason why we watch a film is not just for entertainment. The reason why we watch a film sometimes is to project ourselves onto a character, yeah? So we can go through their situation and see how they make decisions. It's all about decision making. All right, we want the character to solve problems. We want the character to solve problems. Okay, the problems are the problems that the writer creates, and then the character is the one that solves them, and the audience is the one who is sharing the connection with that protagonist character. Now, Brendan Fraser allows the audience to really go through those decision-making processes.
Three of their diggers were melted.
What? How?
Salt acid. Pressurized salt acid, some kind of ancient booby trap.
I think The Rock took a lot of his cues from Brendan Fraser. Oh yeah, if you watch The Rock's acting, especially in Jumanji, it's very like Brendan Fraser in Journey to the Center of the Earth. It's very like Brendan Fraser in The Mummy.
I can't give you my soul.
Bedazzled was interesting. He played like 7 different versions. He played a drug dealer, a basketball player, some New York homosexual socialite, some sensitive man, and the list goes on. Now, look at his main character that he plays in Bedazzled, this character called Elliot.
Really? Well, what's he like?
This sort of Clark Kent, mild-mannered, meek-willed individual that he plays, this sort of character who's downtrodden and never got anything through life. Look how he plays this sort of stumbling character. He's great. Look at the beats that he's doing with his eyes. He's constantly telling you parts of the story. Look at the way he just signaled what heaven is, then looks at the contract, and then looks back at the devil, looks at the heaven, looks at the contract. He's constantly making decisions within his mind. This is great acting. Look at his eye contact, never blinks, but he's constantly showing you how the character's making these different observations within his mind. I love his body language in this sort of film. Complete different to Rick O'Connell. Look at him as Rick O'Connell. Now look at him here. My glasses. Pulling faces, striking poses. Maybe we can treat his acting kind of like Vogue, you know. Let your body move to the music. Strike a pose. In acting, in play acting, they call that making a frieze, a tableau, where you make a tableau, a frieze of a particular scene. I think he's constantly making these friezes and holding the pose. He never just, he doesn't move all around. He stays with one of the poses, then he moves to another, then he comes to another realization. And that's kind of how you got to be a little bit. You kind of have to kind of go with this sort of flow. Now, another quality about Brendan Fraser, which I think is really interesting, is that he can play comedic roles, but he can also play those dramatic roles. There was that film Crash, very dramatic role. It was all about race issues, and he played that really natural, normal.
I would like the locks changed again in the morning. And you know what? You might mention that we'd appreciate it if next time they didn't send a gang member.
gang member?
Yes, yes.
Well, you mean that kid in there?
Yes, the guy in there with the shaved head, the pants around his ass, the prison tattoo.
Those are not prison tattoos.
Oh, really? And he's not gonna go sell our key to one of his gangbanger friends the moment he is out our door.
We've had a really tough night. I think it'd be best if you just went upstairs right
and
now.
what, wait for them to break in?
No comedic energy in there whatsoever. Then you go watch a film like George in the Jungle, which I think probably took him off the list for most people when he went in that loincloth. Yeah. So yeah, in a way I do feel a bit bad for Brendan Fraser because he never got the shine, he never got the love that he deserved. I feel, over his acting career, has mastered both of these outlets. He can be goofy, he can be comedic, but also at the same time, he can be really dramatic and he can be really serious. Now, I think this has come from A, his belief in himself and the belief in the role and just committing straight to that character, using the visualization techniques, also using the method acting techniques, and, you know, becoming one with the character by, you know, choosing the costume, choosing a particular walk, really identifying with the character, being a part of the creation, not just leaving it to wardrobe and leaving it to the director, really taking a hands-on role. So I think that can really unlock your acting. Next time you're gonna have to play a character, take yourself less seriously, and that will allow you to kind of move and adapt in the scene and be a bit loose, because you don't want to be sort of like really stiff and mannequin. You really got to push the envelope as far as you can push it. And this, it just made him a versatile actor. And if you want to be any type of actor, you want to be versatile, okay? You want to be able to just jump into sitcoms, you want to be able to just jump into dramas, and then you want to be able to just be adaptable to any situation. And I think Brendan Fraser, although he's not the Oscar darling, oh, Brendan Fraser, he still is an important actor to watch and to take note from. So we've come to the end of the show. I just want to say thank you so much, and please stick around for the rest of the series, where we are going to be highlighting some of these actors that not many people know about, or not many people would put on their top list, but there are special things about them. So thank you, subscribe, like, click that bell notification for the next video, and we will see you soon. Good timing. Saved by the Bell.